Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/best of for you all. Technically, it's best of r/Predator updates, but that is one hell of a title to put in, so we just call it best of. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving my opinions at the end, and I hope you do so down below in the comments as well. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This collection's brought to us by Kelderson, the Crow Whisperer. Content warning for child loss. Am I the asshole for being distant from friends over their daughter's name? I, 35 female, and am longtime friends with a married couple, 40 male and 42 female. I've been distant since the pandemic when their daughter was born, and they just confronted me about it an hour ago. I started distancing when the husband started judging me for not making my marriage work. There were extreme reasons I left that I never really broadcast for my children's sake. Some were very public, which I addressed, but the rest, I've kept quiet. But the most recent issue is that I lost a child when I was 18, when she was born alive but survived only a few hours. I chose a name for her that I confided in them. That was very special to me. A play on family names, but appropriate for a very unexpected and traumatic loss. They used the name for their daughter. I would have had no issue with this, but I found out in the Facebook announcement, which brought back some very painful and traumatic memories. I didn't say anything. I don't own that name, but I felt very disrespected that they chose not even to give me a heads up, especially as many in our friend circle know where they got it, and I was put on the spot as far as my reaction. So I distanced myself from them. Well, about an hour ago I got a message from him that was very angrily worded. Apparently he'd been talking to a mutual friend about me and how I've shown no interest in their daughter, and he, the mutual friend, mentioned that them using the name without a heads up was very painful for me, and that it had put me on the spot because a lot of people had been asking for my reaction. He called me selfish and an asshole for trying to sully their joy with my pain and making everything about me and that I should just get over it. She passed years ago. In my opinion, losing a child is something you never truly get over, and I was never rude, I never spoke badly of them or to them, and I won't talk about it with anyone. I've just chosen to protect myself and remain distant. I wanted them to enjoy their daughter. They struggled with infertility for years, and I'm happy for them. It's just painful for me, and I felt very disrespected with how they handled it. Am I the asshole? Was I wrong to create distance in a 20-year friendship over this, or was my reaction reasonable? Info, they used both the first and middle name down to the spelling. The only difference is the last name. The name was a made-up mix of my mom and grandpa's names, and the middle name was my nickname from them as a child. My mom passed when I was a child, and my grandpa, who raised me after my mom, passed 3 months before my daughter did. Comments: should just get over it, she passed years ago. This person is not your friend. Time to distance yourself permanently. Not the asshole. OP, I haven't responded to his email. I'm waiting until I'm calmer, but I can't say I plan to be kind. There will definitely be a clear boundary that they are never to contact me again. I wish them well, but they definitely do not continue to have any place in my life. OP, my heart goes out to you for what you've been through. Your reaction and feelings are very reasonable. Definitely do not be kind to that person or allow them close to you anymore. I would have taken a screenshot of that email for reference in case anyone in your friend group tries to say you're overreacting. OP's response: thank you, I forwarded the email to another friend with a clear statement of my boundaries with them going forward and made absolutely sure they're blocked on everything. I also removed myself from any group chats or Facebook groups we were all in. No one is very happy with them right now. Someone responded with, she should be honored. This sounds like some dumb childish shit. Oh, you took my name. Maybe they didn't hit her up because she's emotionally draining or just have their own lives or it slipped. She hit them up, tripping out. I'd tell her to fuck off as well. OP responded to that with, I'm not even entirely sure you read the post. I went radio silent after their name announcement. He's angry because I won't talk to them or about them. I certainly never hit them up tripping out, as you so eloquently put it. He hit me up tripping out. I distanced myself because even I didn't realize how upsetting just hearing her name would be. Hearing it and being expected to associate it with another child and having to deal with it while people are blowing up my phone, coming to my house, coming to my job, asking me about it, was a lot on my mental health. After that, it just wasn't worth the drama to bring up or be around them. How in God's name is their conduct an honor for a child they never met, never mourned, and never cared about? This person responded, I think the main part for me is They don't have to get your blessing to use a name. OP responded to that with, "They didn't need my blessing. My issue is that I wasn't allowed to process hearing my daughter's full name again for the first time since her funeral privately. I had to do it with my phone blowing up with messages, people coming to my home, wanting to talk about it, and people at work asking me about it. Consideration would have been a text or a phone call a day or so ahead of time, letting me know they're using the name and letting me process, instead of being shown the post by a coworker. It's not a common name. It was one I made up, combining my mom and grandpa's name, and the middle name was my nickname from them as a child. Both had passed a few months before my daughter." And fuck that commenter. Oh my god. Even I got heated reading that. OP was voted not the asshole even before the update. Update posted as an edit to the original post within a day of the original. Update. So everyone's over at the house, and I mean everyone. Both of my friend groups came over. The friend, D, I sent the screenshot to last night, called everyone, and they're all furious. Her husband, M, called the former friend A and let him know that everyone is cutting ties with him and that he is to leave me alone. Everyone was under the consensus that while the way they handled the name was an issue, it wasn't a deal breaker since I chose just to remove myself and let it go. However, since he chose to attack me unprovoked simply for keeping a healthy distance, that's unforgivable. This is entirely their own reaction. I did not demand they cut ties with him. However, keep in mind that these are people closest to me, so when I called D last night, I was simply reaching out for support to calm down because my knee-jerk reaction was to say, if you want to go low, I'll go lower, which is very out of character for me. I made it very clear that I was not continuing any contact with A and his wife, but I was not going to dictate their friendships and love them whether they stay friends with them or not. A lot of my opinion can probably be inferred by how I read some of those comments, but all I can say with the update is the people who are willing to cut ties over his bullshit comment, yeah, those are real friends. Those are people you want to keep around. Those are the homies. Those are the home slices, your sweet G's, your rotten soldiers. Keep them around. Super quick shout out to Direct Caterpillar 77 for being pretty much the GOAT of this subreddit. Most of the posts that I'm looking at have been collected, curated, and even properly spaced by Direct Caterpillar, so absolute saint and legend on this subreddit. And just in case if it isn't obvious, Direct Caterpillar isn't the person who originally posted these. I found my wife's secret Google account, and I'm sick to my stomach. This was originally posted to True Off My Chest. We have a content warning for cyberstalking and obsession. Originally posted March 17th, 2024. I, male 36, met my wife Bailey, female 33, 9 years ago through mutual coworkers, and we hit it off immediately. I fell absolutely head over heels for this woman. She was everything I was looking for. I'd gotten out of a toxic, dare I say, abusive, long-term relationship right before that with a woman Bailey had been acquainted with, but not friends with. I had her blocked on everything, and had no contact with her since breaking up. We got married right after the tail end of the pandemic, bought our first house together, and started trying to conceive. That was difficult because Bailey has PCOS, but last year, she finally gave birth to our first daughter. I'm having a blast being a dad. It's kind of a dream come true. I finally got my happy life with my perfect wife. My perfect wife. Until last Monday. My laptop's battery shit the bed, so I opened up Bailey's work tablet with an attached keyboard, so you can set it up like a monitor, to check on some tax stuff. She wasn't home, it was just me and the baby. But we've never asked permission to use each other's devices, we've always just been open like that. There's nothing for us to hide, or at least that's what I thought. When I opened up the internet, I noticed she had the incognito tab open. Never in a million years did I expect to discover what I did. My wife has a secret Google account with a photo album saved called XX, so I clicked on it. Did I discover an affair? Nudes? Nope. In this Google album were over 300 photos, 348 actually, of my ex, the woman I was with right before I met Bailey. The woman who tormented me and made me feel worthless. The album said it started back right around the time that Bailey and I started dating and was updated as recently as 2 weeks ago. The photos range from candid shots with family to pictures at her work functions. There were even pictures from her yearbook. I don't know how Bailey could have found her high school yearbook photos. Photos from vacations, ID photos from work, pictures of her in crowds, screenshots of videos and screen recordings of videos, just her. The other people in the photos would be scribbled out, or the photo would be cropped and zoomed in just on my ex. There were other disturbing things I found too. There was another album with just zoomed up pictures of my ex's hair. Come to think of it, Bailey had recently started wearing her hair differently, and my ex had a very identifiable hair type. There was another album with screenshots of comments on social media. Of course, I can't find them because I have her blocked. Like Facebook groups she's in and public posts. And my ex is very low-key on social media. I can't imagine the lengths Bailey went to find them. My ex literally lives in another country now. There were also different links to the exact outfits she was wearing, like very specific blouses and trousers you'd have to really go looking for to find. A specific water bottle I remembered her purchasing, and identical hiking boots and sandals. So basically, my partner of almost a decade has been single white femaling my ex-girlfriend, has secretly stalked her to the point of buying her exact clothes and changing her hair, and now I'm starting to realize Bailey's new interests over the years were just my ex's. Bailey has turned herself into my ex. Everything feels like a lie, like our love feels like a lie. The things we share feel like a lie. I threw up and had a panic attack. I looked at our daughter and felt betrayed. I haven't confronted her yet and I don't know if I want to. I want to run away with our daughter. I want to print out all of her pictures, leave them on the table, and disappear. I don't know what to do. I just want to throw up. Relevant comments. Shmei. Holy cow, that is definitely alarming. The best thing to do is to address it now and see what'll change if she no longer has someone to replicate. The toxic side of me would slowly start mentioning things like, you really do remind me of someone, and nonchalantly bite into an apple and walk away. OP's response. I feel like what's worse is that she subtly made these changes over time under my nose. So my ex has a specific career and Bailey didn't express interest in switching careers to the exact same thing until after I had mentioned what my ex did. Didn't notice it at the time, but I remember telling her, oh, ex went to school for that. The hair was more recent, the outfits and objects slowly over time. The interests, I'm not sure how much she's stolen personality-wise from my ex and what she actually likes. It's all incredibly exhausting and confusing. Miss Chapstick, I'm so sorry. This sounds like something out of a creepypasta. OP's response. I'm actually surprised with the amount of support I've gotten on here in the last hour, haha. Believe it or not, there are no other red flags in our marriage. Now I don't know what else I've missed. OP adding further, when I talked about my ex, most of the things I told my wife about were negative and paint her in a not such a good light. My wife knows these things and know they were traumatic. Of course, I've mentioned things like what she does for a living and things she used to do. I think everything else she found she got through intense cyberstalking through my ex's friends and family. The yearbook photos, I have no idea. Edit, remove specific info so I don't accidentally dox myself. Update, July 7th, 2024. I'm pretty sure I accidentally got my original post removed just now because I tried to update it with a link to my update. Oops. Anyway, I'm the guy who found the Google Drive full of pictures of my ex. So, I was not expecting my original post to go viral on YouTube and TikTok and have so many responses. Yikes. I'm overwhelmed by the support. I'm humbled by the number of people who've been through this experience on both sides. I have an update, but it's probably not as exciting and as juicy as you want. It's not bad though. First, let me clear things up. If people think this post is fake because it doesn't make sense, or are trying to conceive a timeline in short, or the way I worded things makes it look like a teenager or a woman wrote it, continue to think that because it means I've successfully been vague enough and worded things to not accidentally dox myself. Believe this is a creative writing exercise so I don't embarrass myself. For real. No, I didn't actually throw up. I was in the middle of a panic attack. Private browsing tabs were open to the websites with clothing and objects. Another was signed into Google Photos. When I exited the Google Photo tab to look at the websites with clothing and came back, it was already signed out and I couldn't get back in. A lot of the clothing I recognized wasn't because I remembered my ex wearing them. There were more recent photos of her in the file wearing them, and I remember the day Bailey bought the water bottle that also happened to be in the folder. The hair. Bailey and my ex are the same race, and my ex wore braids in a particular way. Not so particular that it's exclusive to my ex, because Bailey has also worn different braids, but seeing pictures of her made me put two and two together. Is there any way Bailey could have gotten with me in an attempt to get to my ex? Was Bailey possibly obsessed with my ex before she met me? Probably not, because Bailey grew up here and my ex originally moved here for university, and while you can drive across the border, it's not that easy, and I don't think Bailey was going back and forth to stalk her in person. Also, the reasons why my ex and I broke up have nothing to do with Bailey, and she could not have had any involvement. On to the actual update. The next day, when I had calmed down, I called several social workers and therapists. I was planning to confront her there. Unfortunately, the only places that take our insurance did not have an opening for another couple weeks. So, despite what a lot of you think, I've known my wife for nearly a decade, and even while I was confused and upset and doubting things, I didn't think she'd be a danger to me. We took baby to grandma's, and I asked her to go for a walk with me. I did not beat around the bush and straight up told her I found the folder. Her face got very red and she was frozen, but also tried to play dumb at first. I was persistent, and she started crying and begged me not to leave her. This is what I uncovered. Bailey first started looking up my ex out of curiosity, to keep tabs, I guess, but over time it became more pathological. It's like she got addicted to it, but she also wanted to please me. Okay, maybe I talked about my ex a lot more than I thought, and Bailey wanted to emulate the good parts. She told me she really doesn't know who she is, and my ex's image was something she latched onto because she had me first. Finding information about her became a game. Finding the clothing and objects became a game by searching things like blue water bottle green stripe, until she couple compared the product to a photo and found the exact one. The reason why I couldn't find the posts wasn't because I had blocked my ex, but because my ex had made a new Facebook under a different name. Bailey found her profile by searching up a family member. She made fake social media and added enough mutual friends until she could see my ex's photos, and until her private Instagram accepted her. She weaseled her way into her exercise Facebook group where the videos were posted, and searched her school on a yearbook website to find the yearbook pictures. Over time, she just collected the images and would get excited to find something new. Despite the fact that my ex is extremely private on social media, the folder had originally been called Hex the Ex in case I discovered it. She was going to make the excuse of saving the pictures to put a hex on her. When she made a burner Google account, she deleted the old folder and named the new one XX. Then, she got sloppy and comfortable, and that's right around the time that I just happened to open the work tablet. We took a break, it was a while, we made it to couples counseling, and Bailey and I also began seeing separate therapists. She's not had an assessment with a psychiatrist, but it's on the list. She promised to stop and deleted the album in front of me. Slowly, certain clothing items began to disappear from the closet. I still do not entirely trust her, but that is for me to work on. I'm afraid she has another secret account somewhere, like a backup. The physical mimicking is actually stopping though, including the hair change. We're still not okay. I want us to be okay, and it's okay if that takes time. If we end up not being okay, then that's something I have to deal with. What I do know is that my wife is incredibly insecure, probably mentally ill, and is misled. I don't really want to walk away from that. Although, this probably isn't the most exciting update. I appreciate the private messages I just couldn't get back to, Reddit cares, and links to resources. I'm not sure how I feel about social media, YouTube and TikTok picking up my story though. That's wild. Until next time, if I ever give another update, I hope it's a good one. Relevant comments. Biscuit Brown. The outcome does not look positive. Why stay in a one-sided relationship? At least put a plan together that runs concurrently so you're prepared should it not work out. Seek legal advice, prepare evidence, and don't do anything stupid. At least then, you'll be in a better place, either way. OP's response. A plan is something I'm still having trouble coming up with, and it's been a couple months. I think I'm afraid to make a plan. Does that make sense? So my recommendation originally would have just been for them to attempt therapy and for her to see a psychiatrist and to really figure out what's going on, because I don't think she's a threat to the daughter. I don't think she's a threat to the husband. It's clear she has an infatuation with trying to please her husband. And, as she stated, she had him first and there is an unhealthy fixation, and that does require therapy. I think that if this can't be worked through therapy, then he should definitely consider splitting with her, but I'm not sure if that's going to be fully necessary in this situation. I think the matter of the ex does make it weirdly intimate in comparison because, for example, me, I used to have an ex who would stalk and obsess over a lot of other people who used to be my friends to a very unhealthy extent. And this was never hidden from me. And at the time, I didn't recognize what was going on. And I'm trying to look at it from the standpoint of, this wasn't done in a negative standpoint. It was more of done as an act of passion in comparison to something that was being done out of malice. And that's kind of where the line is being drawn in my head, where I think that through therapy and just communication, this could actually be salvaged for the better. But if it can't, that conversation of splitting up and figuring out where to go next does need to be on OP's mind here. See, and that's my personal thought with that. I'd be curious to know how you all would feel to find out that your current wife of 9 years has been actively stalking your prior ex from almost a decade ago. Because don't get me wrong, there are definitely some red flags there, and I'm happy to go into therapy for it, but I'd be very curious to see what all of you think, because this is messy. And I can really only wish the best for OP, his daughter, as well as his wife. Am I the asshole because I, 38 female, don't want to take my stepson, 9, on vacation? Originally posted to r/am I the asshole. Content warning, emotional neglect, abandonment. Am I the asshole because I, 38 female, don't want to take my stepson, 9, on vacation? My husband, 39, and I have been married for 5 years. We have 2 children of our own, both girls, aged 5 and 2. I also have a son, 10, from a previous marriage, but I was widowed. My husband's ex is barely involved in stepson's life at all. They got divorced when stepson was 2, and his ex wanted a fresh start. So my husband did the decent, selfless thing and had complete custody of their son, even though he'd wanted shared custody. I got a bonus at work, and I really wanted to go on vacation with just my family. Just once. We've been on family vacations all together lots of times, but just once I wanted to spend my money going on vacation where I'm not looking after someone else's kid. Ooh, I don't like that. I want stepson to stay with his mom while we go on vacation. My husband sees my point of view and is okay with it. I don't think I'm being at all unreasonable. My mom found out what I was planning and says I'm being a complete asshole. These are the reasons she says I could be the asshole. 1, my mom says that if the stepson's mom isn't properly involved in his life, I should be even more involved in his life to compensate. I think this is a completely unfair expectation. 2, she also says that I'm being a hypocrite, taking my son, but I think that's totally different because my son doesn't have another parent. I'm all he's got. If stepson's mom won't take him just for once, then obviously he'll come on vacation with us, but I don't think I'm the asshole to ask if I can have a vacation with my own family just one time. It's not like I hate stepson or something. He's a nice kid. He's just not mine. Am I the asshole? Asinine Adeline. Info, if my math is right, you and your husband got married when stepson was 4. What kind of relationship does stepson have with you versus with his bio mom? Original poster. Yeah, he was 4, and as I said, he barely sees his bio mom. I'm not sure what point you're making. Oh my god. Verdict asshole. Yeah, rightfully so. Holy hell. Real quick, I want to get my 2 cents in on this one. His mom isn't around for him either. You're kind of his pseudo-mother at this point in time. All he has is his father, and the father needs to fucking step up for his son because he probably is not arguing with you because he doesn't want to start a fight. And the point that commenter was making is, the kid only knew his mom for 2 years, only had his father for 2 years, and you were in his life for 5 years. There are updates, so let's find out what's going on here. Update, July 22nd, 2023. Assumed she tried to post a separate update which was removed, so she added it to the original post instead. Update, am I the asshole because I, 38 female, didn't want to take my stepson 9 on vacation? We definitely won't be going on vacation without stepson. After a couple hours of replies, I decided to show this to my husband. We sat down and had a really long talk about it. He told me he's never been comfortable with my attitude to stepson, but didn't know how to say it to me before. Ow! Ow! Sorry. Anyways. I don't want to be a bad person. I just never thought of stepchildren being yours. I don't think it would be easy for anyone to accept this level of criticism, but all your replies have shown me that I have a lot of work to do. As many of you suggested, and so did my husband, I intend to see a therapist to help me with that. As I said, I don't hate stepson in any way. I've never been deliberately cruel to him. I've always just thought of him as my husband's child, but I realize my mindset needs to change. So I'm going to start working on that. I want my family to be the best it can be, and I need to accept that includes my stepson. I understand that now, and I'm going to start seeing a therapist to become a better person. We've also talked about maybe having family therapy too. I've also made up with my mom, and she is 100% behind the changes I want to make in my life. It wasn't easy to hear everything you said, but I understand that I needed to hear it. What worries me is there is another update to this. So far, the stepmom is making the right choices, and I'm very proud of that. Hopefully, she doesn't just simply, do a full 180. The update's a year later, June 20th, 2024. In July of 2023, I wrote a post on the Am I the Asshole subreddit about taking a family vacation without my stepson. Ooh, look at that, the step is in parentheses now. That might be a good sign. Here's the link to it. I wasn't given permission to post an update to my original post in the subreddit because the replies I got were too heated, and the mods advised me to post an update to my profile instead. When I made my original post, I was told by literal thousands of people that I was the asshole, and it helped me see how wrong I was and had been for the last 5 years. I booked a therapy appointment the following week and started working through my issues. My own father died when I was less than a year old. I don't even remember him. My mother married another man when I was 7, but he left when I was 11, and I never saw him again. It hurt me in a way I'd never processed before. I loved him. He'd been my dad, and suddenly he was just gone. That taught me that step relatives weren't part of your family. They weren't forever. I always thought I was doing better than my ex-stepdad because I provided for my stepson, and I stayed in his life. I was better than my ex-stepdad, but I made my stepson feel the way my ex-stepdad made me feel when he left me, and I regret it so much. A little while after I started therapy, we started family therapy too. The therapist helped me explain to my stepson the way I felt about step relatives and why I'd always behaved the way I did. He cried and said he was afraid that I just didn't like him, and we had the first proper talk we'd ever had. I told him it wasn't true, then I had just been a bad step-parent like my ex-stepdad had been to me. My relationship with my stepson is so much better now. We spend time together just the two of us, and except for this post, I never call him or think of him as my stepson. He's my son. I accept now that he'll always be my son, that unlike my stepdad, he's forever. Even if something happens between me and his dad, he'll still be my son. Most of all, he always called me by my first name, but last Thanksgiving, he asked to start calling me Mom. It made me so happy. I told him that I loved him, and this is so good. I told him that I loved him, and he said he loved me too. Since then, he always just calls me Mom. A lot of people also, God, I feel so happy this has a good ending to it. I can't read this, I'm just actively smiling so much. A lot of people also talked about the ways my husband needed to improve, to be more assertive and protective of his children. He knows that. It's very easy to see the problems when they're presented to you all at once in a Reddit post, but when things happen day to day, it's a lot harder to realize how issues are building up. But he's working hard, like we both are, to try and make our family the happiest it can be. We both know we still have to keep working at this. I'm still in therapy and we're still having family therapy, but I'm grateful to work at it. I'm grateful to have all my children. It's very hard for me to write this, to think about the way things were before I started therapy. It makes me cry every time I think about it, but I want to thank you, Reddit. I wrote my original post just looking for validation from my own point of view, and I never thought the internet could change my life in this way, but it has. I feel like, for the first time, we're truly a family. Thank you all. And this is why I recommend therapy over just going no contact, because if a change can be made, it is always worth it for the better. And if it can't be made, then that's when you need to cut ties. But this is why therapy is important. Oh, this makes me so happy. Fucking massive kudos to the stepmom for actually taking the steps to be better in her life and actually breaking the cycle. This is so awesome to read. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.